What's up, everybody? Ben Cruz here, the head of sports programming at Vover, and welcome to another episode of One and Done here on Vover. The concept of One and Done is very simple. One guest, one question, one answer. That is it. We're looking to bring you the best guests and the best questions on every show, which will lead to the best answers. On today's episode, we welcome someone that I'm lucky enough to say is a friend and a mentor to me, not only in the world of sports and media, but IRL, as the kids like to say. You read his incredible NBA coverage in previous years, everywhere, from Sporting News to NBC Sports Bay Area to Bleacher Report. From there, he became employee number one at Uninterrupted, a part of LeBron James and Maverick Carter's The SpringHill Company. He is now the general manager of Uninterrupted, with his most recent work being in the back of the Golden State Warriors Oracle Park Suite during Game 5 of the Giants-Dodgers NLDS. You'll have to zoom in a little bit on those pictures of the team there, but I promise you, he is there. And most importantly, above all the bylines and the accolades, he is an amazing father to two incredible sons and husband to an absolutely wonderful wife. He is someone I consider my big brother, Jimmy Spencer. Jimmy, welcome to One and Done. This isn't my question, more so just a greeting. But how are you doing today?
Can I answer? Yeah, can I answer any question without just going on here, or do I feel good? Okay, I'm good.
You're good. You look good. Again, you have the backwards hat going on today for the audio listeners. Go peep the visual for this, but it's quite the sight, and I'm loving it. All right, Jimmy, I'm sure you've been wondering what my one question is, so I'm ready to fire it off. Are you good?
I'm good. Let's hear it.
All right, cool. So, Jimmy, as general manager at Uninterrupted, you hold one of the most, I think, coveted jobs in all of sports and entertainment, and of course, that job comes with its benefits and its perks. But I think something that people often don't think about with someone who has a high profile job like you do is the potential toll that it can take on your family because of how demanding that position is. So, my question to you is, what's your secret to the ultimate work-life balance when you are striving for or already have a career in sports? Because, unlike other fields of work, this isn't a 9-to-5 situation, right? Like, sports is never ending and it's always on. So how do you strike that balance between overseeing an entity like Uninterrupted while remaining a fantastic father and husband, which I've seen firsthand over and over again that you are?
Well, appreciate it. A great question. Probably none more important in my mind every single day than that question is, how do I maintain the balance? And I'll start by saying, you hit it on the head. I have a wonderful wife who she definitely carries a huge load in the partnership that we play as parents. She's day in and day out the one who's getting our kids to school most days, or at least getting our 5-year-old to school, and then also dealing with homework and those kind of things. So I'm very thankful for her. But even then, when I think about what it means to be a husband and what it means to be a father, as you mentioned, two boys, one 5.5-year-old Finn and 2.5-year-old Samuel, who are two of the greatest characters in my life, and maybe some other people's lives as well. They don't let me be anything but a dad. They force their way into my life. Quite literally when I'm in the office. We're in a unique time, obviously, still working, from home. I have a setup at my house, an office setup, and they constantly are barging in and taking control of Zoom meetings and figuring ways to force their way into a balance. But, in all seriousness, I always maintained that when I got later in life, and granted I'm approaching, even though I look so young with a backward hat, I always said I want to be very involved in my kid's life. I don't want to be a parent that zooms in to the driveway after dinner and sees their kids for a few minutes before bed and is either gone when they wake up or only gets that minimum time, and then on weekends is too tired and stressed to really enjoy them. And so I made a commitment to myself to prioritize what it means to be a father. And for me, what it means to be a father is being very much a part of their life, not a viewer of their life, but being integrated in things. So that means, when my son Finn started baseball as a 4-year-old, and, obviously you can imagine a 4-year-old playing baseball, it's hard enough for, I think, a 25-year-old to play baseball, let alone a 4-year-old to stand out on a field. But I was a coach, I made sure I was there for all of our practices and for our games. And if you can get ahead of it, and this is kind of more the tactical here, you can start to carve out opportunities for those things in your schedule. And what that means is you put a hold on it. You put a hold on your schedule, and you say, on Wednesdays at 3:30 till 5, I'm with my son, and it's going to take a lot to change that. And I often ask the question in my head, and this happens, it's a day-to-day decision. What's more important right now? That I spend this half hour at 8 a.m. with my 2-year-old jumping up and down on my head and laughing with him and being playful with him, or planning my day? And I often think I'm never going to remember planning my day and taking that extra time to be ready to get ready for work. And not that that's, I want to say it doesn't take away from who I am as an employee.
Of course.
I think that it actually enriches it, because I get that time with him and I feel motivated. I feel, excited to start my day. But you can't do it tactically without being organized. And that's the number one takeaway, I think, for me being a father with work-life balance as a focus. It means like you actually have to be intentional about it. You can't just let it come to you, so to speak. You need to make sure that you are putting spots in your calendar to do that, that you're making it a priority. And also, I think about this a lot too. There's only 24 hours in a day. If you're doing it right, you're about a third of that is sleeping almost, right?
Yeah.
And then that means the other third, and usually it ends up being more than a third, is work and time working. And so it leaves this gap. And you have now the opportunity for self-care, which is like working out, meditation, those kind of things, your own leisure and relaxation, which is kind of, I guess, put that under self-care, and then time to give to community and the people around you who you love, and then family. And so you start to look at that and it's like, oh my gosh, how do we fit all that in, when you start to really look at it that way. And so I think it's really important. And this is one thing as I move forward, it's going to be important for me to make sure that my family life overlaps with my community life, where I give, how I give my time, where I sit. So that might look like, if I decide to coach in the community, that means, Finn and Samuel are my ball boys and we're doing it together, we're spending that time together. Or, figuring out ways to just overlap recreationally. If golf is something that I enjoy, even though I'm a terrible golfer, I do love to golf, and I rarely get to do it because my boys are so little. But as they get bigger and as they get older, taking them out on the golf course with me and having that time. So recreation time is together. And even with work, like I'm in a spot where, as you noted, I have a very coveted job. No pressure, by the way. Everyone's gunning for it. But with that, I definitely feel like I have an opportunity, especially, God giving me two boys who are very, very into sports so far, early. Yeah. I was hoping the second child was a girl, because I wanted to experience both sides of that. I wanted to experience being a father to a son, a father to a daughter, and a daughter who loves sports was very much possible part of the equation as well. And so what I ended up realizing quickly, though, was that I had, and this is a small little tangent and detour, but I had two very different boys, two very different people. And so regardless of gender or anything like that, it didn't end up mattering. We're trained to think these things are going to change. And I know you, Ben, you have a daughter, and I'm sure your daughter's going to be sitting with you at many Warriors games over the course of your life.
Absolutely.
And so I have a job where sports gets to be a big part of it, and it's a recreational thing. And so they do get to join me in some work things. I've gotten to take Finn to some games. Finn knows Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley knows Finn, and he has these great experiences. And so there's times where we really get to overlap and kind of bring everyone together. And so I say all that to say what's important to me is, from a work-life balance perspective, is being really intentional with everything I do in those moments. And I truly believe, I have a really strong faith. And one of the things that I believe is that family and how we love into each other is very much the most important thing in life. And I never lose sight of that perspective in work. And it also helps me as an employee because I don't blow up about things. Hopefully people I work with see me as even keel and somebody who holds a greater perspective of what really matters. And I think that makes us better as a company. In my new position, not only am I very thoughtful about parents who work for our company, but I'm very thoughtful about everybody who has relationships with anyone, whether that's friends or themselves or anything. I think this idea of family balance is very similar to balance for yourself in general. If
Sure. Yeah.
if you're somebody who finds yourself building decks at 9 p.m. every night, I'll argue that those decks probably aren't very good. You're not exploring the world for very much of that percentage of your life. If you're not out there, you're not eating at restaurants, you're not part of society and culture, then there's a strong argument to be made that you're probably not in tune with things. So I say all that to say that for me, ultimately, my children, my wife, my friends, what I do for the community, it's all tied together. And so, yeah, I think that's the answer to your one question.
I mean, something that stands out to me that you said there is, being intentional about it, about the time that you do spend with your family and to, selfishly, I wanted to ask you this question as well, because I've always wanted to just kind of pick your brain on this because you've been a parent longer than I have. And, I still struggle with that a lot with my baby girl. And obviously with the second one on the way, I want to learn to be better at that. And when I thought of people who, were thriving, both career-wise and with their families, you were the first person that popped up in my head, because I remember you and I used to have these conversations, when we worked together. Just you would give me advice just about, I just gotten married, you know what I mean, and you had been there, and I think it's even more, it's more so important now, especially now they're all at home, and there's really no cutoff, right? There's no you leave work anymore. It's literally you are sleeping where you work, essentially. And that's been I still struggle with that, to be honest with you. And it's something I look to get better at every day. But I think the word, again, that you said that stands out to me, that I'll take with me after, we hop off the show, is intentional. Just be intentional with that time, with my daughter, with my wife, and with my friends and family. So I hope that's what everyone kind of takes away from your answer, which was incredible, by the way. But that phrase really stood out to me. So, thank you for that. And, that's it, Jimmy. That's your one and done experience. I
love it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, what happened during that time? My son Finn actually came in to my office, gave me one of these, finger over the mouth, shh, I'll be quiet.
Yeah.
Snuck past me. And then in that moment of trying to be quiet, poured a whole thing of Legos everywhere, which made a tremendous sound. And I kept myself on mute during that time. So, part of it is also skill building, Ben, and you'll learn that as well.
Multitasking.
During this period, that ability to toggle that mute button and be able to snap your fingers in a way without the camera noticing is an incredible asset.
There you go. For the video, you should see this on video. It was flawless the way this guy did this. It was incredible. Jimmy, I want to throw it to you. Plug anything you've got going on, new projects, cooking at UN, whatever you got. The floor is yours, sir.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I think, ultimately we're striving to keep the mission going here at Uninterrupted, which is athlete empowerment. It's kind of funny. It's what we're talking about. More than an athlete, our mantra over here, and more than an employee is how we want everyone here to feel. And as we're talking about it, what's your more than, for me, I think a dad. So I appreciate the kind words. I appreciate the time. And it was great catching up.
Absolutely. Jimmy, my brother, thank you so much for coming on One and Done, and hope to have you on again soon.
All right.